Michael asked if I saw James Freeman's video. I did. He asked if it interests me enough to do a video on it. Um, well, you're getting one, so there's your answer. I wouldn't have made it had I not been asked about it because I fully support what James did here. He didn't answer questions. He was reasonable in his request. All he wants to do is go down the road. Why don't you let him? Martinez Fuerte was very terribly decided, in my opinion. They gave a lot of weight to what the U.S. wanted. The U.S. thought that it would be. So they say these checkpoints are located on important highways. In their absence, such highways would offer illegal aliens a quick and safe route to the interior. So what? They can still catch them. There's just because it makes it easier for the government. I don't care. It'd be easier for the government if they didn't have to get warrants to search people's houses, or if they didn't have to have probable cause to arrest people. It'd make it easier, right? No one cares. I don't care. When you look at the way all the other intrusions onto your liberty have been dealt with, if you are going to do a little intrusion on liberty, you need a little amount of reasonable suspicion, probable cause, or reasonable suspicion or facts, right? And facts, reasonable suspicion and facts to do that little bit of intrusion. So a little bit of reasonable suspicion gives you a little bit of liberty loss. A little more facts and suspicion combined into probable cause will give you a little more liberty loss. You get to arrest them. But then if you want to actually imprison them, you need a really high amount. So a little gets you a little, more gets you more, and a lot gets you a lot. But if you have zero suspicion, what should you get? Zero seizure. That's what you should get. But they're saying no. It's fine. It's reasonable. It's making it harder on the government. It's reasonable. No suspicion gives you a little bit of seizure. That's retarded. That is absolutely a ridiculous deviation from Fourth Amendment jurisprudence, in my mind, and your mind may vary. Other things, other ridiculous things that I think they dealt with was that if you see everybody else getting stopped, then you should be fine with it. All law-abiding citizens should be fine. It's built by the government. It's there to protect us. No, I don't care if you build a building around it. I don't care if somebody's wearing a uniform. I don't want to be stopped without probable cause or reasonable suspicion, something along those lines. Oh, well, if it's really busy traffic, then, not everybody can get sent to secondary. Well, that just makes me all warm and fuzzy. They literally said that in somewhere in here, and I don't have it highlighted. But yeah, if it's super busy, they can't send everybody to secondary. And it's not really intrusive. They just stop you and ask you questions, and if they don't like your answers, they send you to the secondary, and they start looking into your vehicle. Okay. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. Now, some things to note is that when they were doing this, every single case they looked at in Martinez Fuerte was human smuggling, human trafficking, whatever. They were actually moving illegal aliens. They weren't looking for drugs. So things have changed, and maybe you can challenge it on a constitutional level. The difference between this and courts is that it's relatively easy to get rid of inland border patrol checkpoints. Relatively. Remember, with the courts, you're going to have to convince the Supreme Court that their own rule is unconstitutional, and that's not going to happen. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add in a constitutional amendment to the United States, which is hard to do, and maybe even add in constitutional amendments to your state constitution. So it's going to be tough to do to get filming in courts, to mandate filming in courts. But this, Congress can pass a law. The president could just do an executive order. Probably, it is an executive agency. It's under the Department of Homeland Security. The Border Patrol is. So the president could just executive order it, say no, I want all the Border Patrol agents on the actual border, and I want to not spend any more money on these inland checkpoints or whatever. And it's theoretically possible you could get a constitutional challenge on it because things have changed a little bit. It's theoretically possible. I didn't say it was a good chance. I just said it's possible. And finally, when it comes to the public, when you are the problem in a court, people can see you being the problem. People know you're the problem. You are the problem. They don't care about your interactions with the police. Like if you wanted to film the police or whatever, the sheriff's deputies at the court, and you weren't stopping anybody from going in and out, you weren't filming them about their business when they wanted to have a private moment or whatever, then that's, it's because you're filming in court and you're irritating everybody around you. If you were in the car right here in front of James, would James know what that guy's talking to the Border Patrol agent about? I posit to you that no, he would not. What James would see a car, and he would put himself in that driver's position. He would think to himself, I would just want to be down the road. I wouldn't want to be jaw-jacking with this Border Patrol agent. So who's the problem? It's the Border Patrol agent. 'Cause see, the Border Patrol agent has that red light right there telling this guy to stop. This guy doesn't get to go until that Border Patrol agent tells him he can go. So who's the problem? Without being intimately involved in it, being separated by cars, being in your own car, away from it, you're not going to have a visceral reaction against the driver who you really can't see. You're going to have that reaction against the Border Patrol agent who is in control of the situation and is not allowing that car to leave as far as you can see. So it does drive, I believe, a dislike towards the inland Border Patrol checkpoints when people don't cooperate. I don't think, as long as the people aren't acting crazy, if they're calm, like James was very calm, collected. He didn't raise his voice. He's just like, I just want to go down the road. I don't answer questions. I just want to go down the road. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a very reasonable position. It's a very reasonable position to not talk to the cops. It's a very reasonable position just to want to be on your way. There is nothing in Martinez Fuerte that says you have to answer the questions. They do get to ask them, but there's nothing in there that says you have to answer them. So, yeah. So, that said, I'm not recommending anyone does it, but I certainly don't mind when people do. I hope that answers your question. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.